guys, so before we begin, the usual disclaimers. What I'm about to say in this video are my opinions on Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but solely based on the first episode, my first impressions. My opinions and thoughts might change by the end of the season, alright? Which is a little bit ludicrous to say that I'm giving my opinion on the first episode of the show, since Kevin Feige has already established that this show is going to be more like a 6-part movie than an actual show with episodes that are self-contained. It's ongoing. It's like a big movie. But so basically, I'm just giving my opinions on half of the first act of the movie. But because I promised I made this video, I am making it. My second disclaimer, of course, is that I am going to talk about the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier openly and without any precautions or spoilers. So, if you haven't seen the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, New World Order, stop the video here, go and watch it. Go check it out before you watch this video. Phase 4 is in full effect. Marvel is officially back with a vengeance, and that is not a dig on WandaVision. WandaVision is awesome. Check that show out if you haven't seen it yet. Jack Schaefer did an incredible job creating what I believe to be one of the most unique visions in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it's a show that's a slow burn. It takes a long time, many episodes before it gets to what we know as a standard action-adventure, fantasy, sci-fi Marvel story, which is good. It's just a good thing. It's unique, but after a year where we had no releases from Marvel Studios, no movies, no shows, nothing, or all of 2020, we were just at the edge of our seats waiting for them to release anything Marvel, and we just wanted the usual action, adventure, and crazy high-concept sci-fi content that we crave. And WandaVision, it took a good 7 weeks before we got to that. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, on the other hand, immediately hits the ground running and gives you exactly that. Especially with what I believe to be one of the coolest, most badass opening sequences to any installment of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is that amazing mid-air rescue that Sam performs in the opening, which of course leads to what I believe to be the most definitive moment out of any existing Marvel movie, Marvel Studios or not, or from another studio. Most definitive moment, which is that shortly after, just a few scenes after, we see Sam perform the most incredible mid-air rescue you'd ever see in any movie. He's denied for a loan, and on top of that, the banker recognizes him. He knows he's the Falcon. He knows he's one of Earth's mightiest heroes. He knows he fought in the Infinity War. Doesn't care. Declines his loan. That is, like I said, that is a microcosm of what Marvel Comics is the action, the adventure, the fantasy of comics, but, with reality right next to it, just side by side, the harsh reality of it. And that the reality is that heroism is not often rewarded, and that the heroes of the Marvel Universe don't do what they do because there's a reward at the end of the tunnel. They do it because it's the right thing to do, and that's why you should perform heroic acts, and no other reason. Boy, what a boot to the gut. That scene where him and his sister Sarah were denied for that loan. But it's perfectly in line with the element that has made Marvel successful since the 60s. So if the previous 3 phases of the Marvel Cinematic Universe were the Infinity Saga, for now I am referring to this current phase as the Wellness Saga, because we're seeing all the characters deal with the trauma that they endured during those first 3 phases. In WandaVision, we see Wanda go through all 5 stages of grief, and here we see a shell-shocked Bucky trying to make amends for all the bad things that he has done as the Winter Soldier, so much so that he's going to therapy, which is Excellent. That's what you should do. You should seek help. It doesn't matter how badass you are, how many supervillains you defeated, how powerful, how strong. You should always seek help. So I'm glad that Marvel is putting that out there. That while these characters have incredible superhuman abilities, they're not invulnerable. And often, when they are hurt, be it physically or mentally, the most brave thing that they can do is seek help. One of the most legitimately surprising scenes in this opening episode is that right off the bat, Sam turns down the mantle of Captain America, which Captain America physically handed over to him. Right in front of Bucky, he chose Sam to be the new Captain America, and then immediately the show starts and we see Sam turn it down, turn in the shield to the Smithsonian, I believe, to put on display. What I love about that is that it immediately starts to show parallels between Sam and Steve Rogers. If you remember, in Avengers Age of Ultron, all the Avengers take turns trying to lift Thor's hammer. Steve goes to lift it, and it's kind of apparent that he can, but he doesn't. And that's one of the most defining traits of Steve Rogers, of Captain America, is that he is worthy. He's 100% worthy, but he doesn't believe himself to be. A good man is a work in progress. The moment that you think that you're worthy, that you're the best, that you're a good guy, you fail at being a good guy. Being a good guy, being a good person is constantly making choices and hoping that you're making the right one. And Steve Rogers knows that. He doesn't believe himself to be worthy, and neither does Sam. Nobody told Steve Rogers that he could lift Thor's hammer. Nobody. Avengers Infinity War, he lifts it if he officially accepts the burden, the mantle of being worthy, because Thanos is about to kill his two best friends. Sam is physically handed the shield. He is told by Steve Rogers himself, you are worthy, here it is, and he still turns it down, which makes him even more worthy of being the one to hold it. So I love those parallels between those two guys. One major one that I feel not enough people talk about is how Steve Rogers started out as this skinny weakling who would have gotten killed in his first war zone if he would have been accepted as a soldier in World War II. But he volunteers. He volunteers anyway, and he gets a super soldier serum, becomes Captain America, and he goes on to make history. But he started out as this guy who was more than likely to die than to do anything valuable. So fast forward to the present, and we have Sam Wilson, who is a badass, capable soldier, but he now lives in a world of superhumans. And these superhumans come to him and ask him for help, and he says, okay, I'll help you. He doesn't have any powers. He doesn't have any superhuman skills, but he still volunteers and he still helps, just like Steve did before he had those abilities. Again, parallels between those two characters and further establishing why Sam is the right person to take over as Captain America. So let's talk about the costumes for a second. We are yet to see Bucky's new costume, but we definitely saw Falcon's, which is more reminiscent of his comic book costume, which, by the way, I have never liked. Never have. I love the character of Sam Wilson. He's awesome. But never liked this costume at all. So one of the major things that I appreciated from the Marvel Cinematic Universe was that they immediately changed his costume and went their own way with it. And there were certain nods in the costume to his comic book counterpart, but they didn't go all out with the costume. And technically they still have it, but on this show, they have more overtly referenced the costume. And I have to say that I like it. I think this is a good happy medium, where it has striking similarities to his comic book counterpart, but they didn't go all out with all the man cleavage and the his sides exposed and all that shit. Now, again, they haven't shown Bucky in his new costume yet, but we know from all the promotional material that he is shying away from his Winter Soldier look, and now he's wearing this blue leather top, and he's sporting a short haircut. And I don't know if you've noticed, but this is one of the most brilliant and awesome visual cues that this show has, because Bucky's arc is that of trying to make amends for what he did as the Winter Soldier, and he's trying to get away from the Winter Soldier and figure out who he is. So he cut his hair short, and he's wearing a new uniform that is very, very similar. It's a modern version of his Howling Commandos uniform, and that is brilliant. He's trying to go back to who he was before Hydra turned him into the Winter Soldier. He's trying to go back to being that patriotic Howling Commando that served with Captain America. But unfortunately, there's no Captain America. He's still waiting to see who's going to wield the shield. Hopefully, Sam, who he somewhat gets along with.
So what's our plan? Great.
All right, let's talk about the rest of the cast. I am seriously digging the supporting cast so far, but there are two major players that are yet to show up. One of them being Emily Van Camp, who plays Agent 13, a character that I never gave a second thought to. In the movies that she's been in, she's just kind of there. She kind of exists. I don't hate her. I don't love her. She's just there. But I saw the first trailer to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and the moment that she shows up, saves Sam and Bucky, crap out of half a dozen guys on her own, takes off her hood, reveals herself to be Agent 13. I have to admit, it got a pop out of me. It really did. I just, woo, yeah. And I've never gotten excited over that character, ever. So it felt kind of good. It actually got me excited to see her. So now I sit down, I watch the pilot episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I'm like, yo, where's Agent 13? The character that I'm a little bit skeptical about appearing in this show is Daniel Bruhl as Helmut Zemo. For those of you who don't remember, he was the villain, or should I say the antagonist, the mastermind, the puppet master, behind the schemes that transpired in Captain America Civil War. Now, interesting fact. Captain America Civil War is my all-time favorite MCU movie. I treasure it from start to finish. I am a traditionalist. I like to see my comic book characters be as much as they can possibly be like their